Our guest on Inside Jacksonville, a gentleman who has come up to us from Orlando, and we had to work around scheduling and everything. Very much appreciative of it being worked out. Charles Brown, Vice President of Programs with Bridges of America. Also, this is tied to the Department of Corrections, if I'm not mistaken. Charles, thank you for dropping in this morning.
Well, I really appreciate being here.
Yeah, this is new. This is I got this information sent to me, and then I approached one of your media people and said, I really need to talk to somebody from this organization. You had a groundbreaking here in Jacksonville on June 24th for a particular state, they're saying here, a state-of-the-art transition center. Mm-hmm. Before I get to that, I want to find out, Bridges of America, the organization itself, what is it? How did it get started? Who does it serve?
Bridges of America was founded by Frank Constantina, who is an ex-convict that basically went to prison was sentenced to 22 and a half years. And after he was sentenced, he experienced a life-changing experience in prison where he accepted Jesus Christ as his Lord and Savior. Mm-hmm. And as a result of that, his life changed, and he no longer wanted to steal and no longer wanted to be a criminal. So what happened is that by the time he was getting out, he noticed that a lot of people was returning to prison after leaving for a very short period of time. And once he left and went back to his home, he realized that he had a calling in his life, and so he decided that he could get in touch with the chaplain who was at the prison at the time, and basically asked could he come back in and speak to the guys about some of the problems that they was having. And he felt like he had the answer through Christ, that Christ has changed his life, so he wanted to share the good news with other prisoners. And
may I interrupt, probably even the things that they are going to face on the outside that maybe they don't know that they're going to have to face.
Absolutely. And so that was the driving point. One of the things that when he testified before the House of Representatives in the early 70s, he mentioned to them that one of the problems, that the reasons why it's a revolving door, why people continue to go in and out and recidivate back in the system over and over again, is that when a person like you and I, we make about 200 decisions a day. Mm-hmm. When a person is incarcerated, they take away their decision making, and because society demand retribution. Sure. And so now the person has to only make about 10 to 15 decisions a day. They're told when to wake up, when to go to sleep, what to eat, when to eat, right, how to look, and everything is told to them. So they have very little decision-making abilities. So as a result of that, a person incarcerated has all their choices taken away from them as a result of the crime, making restitution for the crime they've committed. Right. And so once they return to society, the prison gave them $100, 5 20s, and expect them to now begin to make 200 decisions like you and I.
I knew they gave them some money. I didn't know it was that little. $100. Yeah. That's what they get when they walk out.
$100 is what they get, a suit of clothes and $100 and a bus ticket to go home. And so he realized that was one of the major factors in a person making bad decisions to recidivate back through the system again. So his decision was to go back and share the good news that basically, first of all, you need to build your confidence and accept a higher power in your life, realizing that the decisions that you've been making in life cause you to go in the direction that you've gone in, and you've failed. So what he's trying to do now is share with them the good news. And as a result of that, he began to go back in, and the clients and the inmates began to tell him the reason, some of the frustrations they was having. They say, first of all, with the $100, there was no place to stay. They had blown all of their
savings, if there were any.
Savings. They had basically done away with the relationships. So there was no relationships on the outside. They probably stole from their families, and they don't want them back, and they've damaged their relationships with the outside world. And so now they were saying that we don't even have a place to stay. First of all, we need some place we can stay. And then when they went out to apply for a job, they didn't even have a place where the potential employer could call them back and say you either got the job or you didn't get the job. So one of the first things that Frank did is that he found some property and open up a little place where when a person was to leave the institution, they can come and basically have a place to stay, a bed, and a phone, and they can buy some groceries and have food to eat, and that parlayed into what we have now. It started out with maybe about 5 people that was interested in coming. As soon as the word just kind of went out really quick in the institution, some of the institutions, particularly the one where he came from, which was Glades Correctional down south. He was very happy to get that news spread out there, and a lot of the guys got out of prison, came to Orlando, and went into this program, made a commitment, and basically was able to save a little money, work, had a place to stay, and as a result of having a place to stay, they was able to call and basically sustain a job and call their potential employer, and the employer called them, and they worked.
Now, is this facility taken care of, paid for by the state? Is it paid for by donations?
No, this facility started out with just him working with people one-on-one. They're coming out of prison and they didn't have a place to stay, and so he gave them that opportunity.
So that started it all.
That's what started it all.
Now, how many facilities are there in the state? I thought there were 7 or 8, did I say?
No, we have about 8 now. We started out, in fact, I was one of the first people that came in to that same facility myself back in 1983. I came in, and all 8 of the clients that was in the program at that time met me at the door and gave me a tremendous welcome. They gave me clothes. When I got out of the institution, I didn't have any clothes, anything. They gave me clothes, and the next day I had a job. I had a lead on a job and went for a job interview and was working at a construction site.
Yeah. Now, but what I'm saying is, how is this funded? How are the facilities funded? I mean, you have utilities that have to be paid.
Yeah, well, the inmates pay us assistance, but we also have a per diem that the Department of Correction contract with us now.
Okay.
And so we do get funds from the Department of Correction to run these programs now.
Right.
But it didn't start out that way.
Yeah, okay. Now, so it's built to, we now have a facility that, now is this facility in Jacksonville already built? I know you had a groundbreaking on the 24th of June. So are you building a whole new building, or is it kind of a symbolic groundbreaking? You've got a building that you're renovating.
No, we have a building on 12th Street now, on I think 5600 on 12th Street on the west side of town here.
I'm not going to pin you down because you're from Orlando now.
But it's just a good thing now, because
you said you hadn't lived in Jacksonville in a long time.
Because I left in 1981 and went to prison and never came back.
Yeah. But so you worked in Orlando. Now, is this
the facility in here is now we have a facility that houses 146 inmates from prison
in Jacksonville?
It's a work release program, right?
Now, is it ready now? You said
it's ready now. We already have that program. Why we are building another program is because we're leasing this program, and this program does not meet the physical structure, the needs that we have determined from years of experience.
Now, when will this new facility?
Well, we had a groundbreaking on the 24th, as you said, and so we're looking maybe another 6 months or so that this building should be completed early next year.
That is marvelous. Right. Now, one of the things that I always like to ask individuals who come in here, where we have charitable organizations, and theoretically this is a charitable organization, you have individuals coming out of prison, they're trying to get over maybe drug problems, finding their way, and as you say, not going back into prison. I talk to Sheriff Rutherford all the time, and that's one of the big complaints he's got, is that that's revolving door. How can the public become involved? Now, you said there's obviously a per diem from the prison.
Right.
The inmates who are now working pay a little bit of rental fee. How can the public get involved? How can we, the public, help? Well, because it saves the community money.
Absolutely.
If we're not constantly having young people go back into prison.
Well, the community can help by getting on the website and looking for opportunities to volunteer. One of the key areas of to help inmates recidivate back into society, I mean to reintegrate back into society, excuse me, is to have volunteers to help them make that adjustment. And volunteers, I always say, is a very powerful, irrational commitment of a person who has no other agenda but just to volunteer. They can say you or I get paid, but a volunteer is a person who does not get paid. It's kind of like a powerful, irrational commitment that they make on their own to help out. And so they can come in and help with church services and help people reintegrate back into the community, actually being part of the reintegration, reentry process.
Maybe like retraining, teaching them on computers, maybe contacts for jobs, business people.
Contact for jobs, basically volunteering to come in, and if you're gifted in Bible studies, or you can gift it in whatever need that there might be at the facility, getting in touch with the chaplain to look for opportunities to be able to be a contributing factor in helping a person make that adjustment when they leave, because the biggest issue is transition. People fail in transition no matter what it is. It could there could be an illness, it could be just married, it could be a divorce, but in transition there's always the opportunity to either fail or be successful. And so this transition of inmates back into society has always been a major problem for every correctional system, every city in the world.
What is the website? Because we want to encourage people to look on it.
The website is Bridges of America, bridgesofamerica.org.
Bridges, that's, by the way, the folks, that's B-R-I, just like it sounds, B-R-I-D-G-E-S, bridgesofamerica.org. One of the things that I want to point out, we're almost ready to wrap up, believe it or not. One of the things I want to point out, and looking at some of the statistics here that I didn't realize, I knew it was rough with a lot of the revolving door. 1 of every 8 people who battles with substance abuse disorder, and 75% of those incarcerated have a substance abuse disorder. 75%.
Absolutely. Their substance abuse is associated with their incarceration, meaning that if they never had a substance abuse problem, it's a very possible that they might not have had a criminal charge against them. They was going out committing crime to supply them drug habits.
That brings up one question. We have about a minute and a half left, Charles, and since you have the experience in there, I'm not asking whether you were a drug abuser or not. I'm asking a question related to when somebody like this, and you having been in the system, somebody who has a drug abuse problem and has robbed or whatever, to try and support that drug abuse, they get into the system. Is there not a system within the prison system, doctors, psychologists, whatever, that can help these prisoners who have drug abuse situations get off of drugs?
Well, in the past, because of the budget cuts, particularly the major budget cut in 2001, we was in at least 32 prisons in the state of Florida. Prior to that, we was in prison giving inmates drug treatment while they were in prison.
So there are programs available to try and help. But still, again, you're right. Making the transition when you get out.
That's the key.
That's the key.
That's the key, because that's when the reentry. So once the person come into the system, we look at them as a reentry prospect. We try to determine what it's going to take for this person to have a successful reentry and transition back into the community.
This is an amazing program, and the fact that Jacksonville's got a facility and now building one to handle, you say you have 100 plus now?
145 inmates here in Jacksonville now as
that
a
work
release center that are being helped for their drug and getting them jobs.
It's amazing. bridgesofamerica.org. I know you were in the area. We had to wait until you got back in the area to set up this interview, but thank you for taking the time to come by.
I really appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Yes, sir.